You're listening to Time to Lean, and here's a song. Episode 1, Side B. Thank you.
So let me get back to my Allstate thing so we can wrap that up. So this guy would go back to his, wherever he lived, Pipestone, Minnesota, actually.
He lived in the van.
He lived in the van. And he would take the tape and send it to this company that would press records, vinyl records.
Did he record? What kind of tape? What do you mean, like a reel-to-reel thing?
Big reel-to-reels, like pro ones.
How many mics did he use? How did
was
he
a bunch.
do that?
Yeah,
I don't
get
get
it. He
it.
had a mixer. It was a real professional outfit.
So he had a bunch of mics and 2 tracks on a reel-to-reel?
Yeah, I suspect maybe he had a 4-track. I don't know I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
But he did it on analog tape. The reason I know that is because I have a set of his tapes.
Wow.
That he made in Denmark.
What?
Yeah, so
So he took his he
didn't drive the van to Denmark though.
He would ship his van over there.
Yeah, I should have. That sounds very inefficient, but no, he recorded. So my dad's high school band did a European tour in 1975.
Yeah.
And they put on this concert at this Danish radio station, auditorium or something, and they recorded it and sent the tapes back to him, this guy with the van, and he had records done.
Wow.
Very much, they probably took an hour and a half worth of stuff and cut it down to whatever LPs hold, like 45 minutes.
Or a podcast.
The world's longest podcast was 52 hours.
So anyway, after he'd sold everybody records and everything, he sent the tapes to my dad, and they sat in his house for decades. And I ended up with them, and one day I played them back and digitized them, and there was a whole bunch of extra stuff with Bob Knutson monologuing and all sorts of cool stuff that wasn't on the record even.
Now, Bob Knutson was sort of a Rapid City icon, really.
Yeah, he was a teacher at our old high school.
Bob Knutson was born in 1933 in Pipestone, Minnesota. In 1959, he started teaching at Rapid City Central High School. He started the Cobbler Capers the following year. He also coached the Rapid City tumbling team, served in the House of Representatives, and played bass drum and water gong in the Black Hills Symphony Orchestra.
So that's the long version of All-State Orchestra in 1984.
Wow. See, I didn't even know parts of that.
See?
Fine.
See what happens when you make a podcast?
I think this one is going to be, maybe this is a 2-parter.
Could be.
Aye, sir.
We brought up food last time, so I'm going to bring that back briefly.
Food, yes.
What do you mean? Everybody loves to hear about food. So I am a big fan of barbecue.
Yes, I am too, but...
Yeah, barbecue is great.
Yeah.
I don't have it all that often because it's bad for you, but also
I just realized
most people don't like it as much as I do, so including the people I live with.
I just realized I never introduced myself.
Oh my God. I've been such a rude host.
No, we got talking about other things. That's fine. Anyway, barbecue.
Okay, you introduce yourself next time. Hi, this is Phil. And he sounds like Louis Anderson.
Food, glorious food.
Barbecue. I tried a new barbecue place yesterday though.
Wait a minute. Okay. So where was the other one? Where was the one we went to?
So the last with you and
Sean.
Sean might be listening. Hi, Sean.
Well, and maybe even joining us, I hope, soon. We went to some kind of barbecue place up.
So we went to a place called Q Fanatic.
Yeah.
With the letter Q. It's pretty well known here in the Twin Cities.
And that's like far...
It's in Champlin. It's really far north.
To me, it's farther away, but yeah. Okay.
It's really far. Northwestern suburbs. We were looking for something new. And I happen to remember hearing that the guy who founded Famous Dave's Barbecue.
Yes. Now, what he
Dave
had a
Anderson, another Anderson.
He had a South. Is he from South Dakota originally?
No, he's Wisconsin. Yeah. So this guy Dave Anderson, I think the guy's name is.
He sold off his interest
Yeah,
to the other
he's
thing.
no longer with Famous Dave's. So he started a new one called Old Southern Barbecue.
Oh.
At some point last year, I think he opened a location in Minneapolis.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's actually quite good.
No, I'm sure.
It's not that different from Famous Dave's, although I notice it. The thing about Famous Dave's, I'll just give you my quick rant. It kind of goes hand in hand with my rant about donuts, but that will be next episode, or I'll give you a preview.
I just envisioned this old man on a corner with a donut.
I did donut.
Okay, anyway.
I did the donuts, the barbecue.
Barbecue donuts in oak barrels.
Okay,
The
so Famous Dave's was you used to be pretty good, I think.
Well,
they weren't amazing, but they were okay.
I liked it.
And the thing I think happened is that they expanded and they decided to go upmarket.
Yeah.
So they opened some new locations that had, a full bar and table service with, waiters and all that stuff. And they tried to make their food fancier and more expensive.
Yeah.
Now, the original concept of Famous Dave's is like a lot of like what they call fast casual. It's kind of dumb name, but that's what they call it.
Which
Everybody
is a
knows
trend
what I'm talking
now.
about. You go up to a counter, you order, and they either call your name and you pick it up, or they just dump it on the table and you fill your own drinks and all that stuff. It's like fast food. Famous Dave's used to be mostly that, and they tried to go up scale, but the food didn't actually improve. Right. They just made it a little fancier, and they higher price, and then you have to pay tips and everything else, and it just after a while you just didn't think it was worth it.
No.
So I kind of stopped going there.
Price themselves out of the market.
And the thing about barbecue is that it's just, I don't think it works as well in a finer dining experience.
Some of the best barbecue I've ever had is out of a really small little shack or something, right. and in the backyard they got the smoker. That's
the thing. And then this Q Fanatic, it was, I think it used to even be smaller, but it's just the end of a strip mall, and they had a few smokers out in the parking lot.
Yeah, oh, you could smell it when we drove in.
Yeah, and that place really goes for the smoke. Anyway, that was the main thing about Famous Dave's, and they're just if I needed barbecue, yeah, I'll go there, but it was never anything great. This place kind of tries to get back to a more basic, nothing very fancy. They do all the usual stuff like ribs and sandwiches. They do a thing where they have bowls, which is kind of funny for a barbecue place, but it's basically you just take a bowl and you dump beans and meat and all sorts of corn or whatever else they have, and
did KFC start that? I don't know.
Or all that stuff, and it sounds actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that.
I had a rack of ribs there. It was really good.
Half rack or a whole rack?
I had a whole rack.
Oh my God!
But
John.
it was a whole rack for $15.
So what is this place called again?
It's called Old Southern.
Oh, okay.
I hope they open more of them. It's good. They have really good sauce, including a super good mustard apple cider vinegar barbecue sauce.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was great. It was the best sauce. And I like my barbecue sauce.
I've talked to my daughter, maybe would go with me, but maybe the whole family on a barbecue road trip of the United States. So we'd go to St. Louis, go down to Memphis or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Do a big road trip.
And the thing is, it's, barbecue is really interesting because it varies a lot depending on, like you said, where you go.
Well, Texas is totally different than St. Louis or Kansas City. I've had too. I really like that because some get in more into the vinegary sort of stuff,
and sauces. And these ribs were more like a Texas one, I think, because they were they had a rub on them, but they weren't cooked in a sauce.
Oh, okay.
So I put sauce on mine because I like sauce, but
John likes getting sauced while talking about sauce and then riding hogs.
But okay, so you add the sauce that you want.
Yeah, they put it all at the table and you just sauce it up.
I don't know. I like with barbecue, ideally, I guess I would like the rub. You know, they got the smoke and the sauce. They lather that on there, get that all incorporated, and then give it to me. And I don't need to add like anything else.
Right. That's more like a Carolina or a Memphis or one of those.
Right.
What I had was more Texas.
Yeah.
But it was good. They all, more importantly, they had a really good baked beans.
Yeah. They weren't Uncle Zydeco beans.
Uncle Jake's.
Jake's, not Zydeco.
AKA
oh my God.
Canned beans with whatever you have in your fridge dumped into it. So anyway, they had good baked beans, lots of hunks of meat. It was good.
I like vegetarian barbecue the best. The vegan barbecue.
Vegan barbecue.
It's got like fake liquid smoke on a nice tempeh thing.
You know what? You don't have to have fake liquid smoke though.
To be vegan?
I don't think so, because it's just made from smoked wood.
Oh wow, okay, but you're killing a tree, John. That's not vegan though.
I don't think you can eat it all if you don't eat plants.
A tree is a plant. You're right.
Wow.
Back to the oak barrels.
I'm going to change the category of this podcast to education.
Oh,
Seriously.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, as we talked about on our little Facebook discussion, this episode is probably longer than what most people like in a podcast.
We'll try to edit it down to 45 minutes.
We'll probably do that. We also have a song.
Oh no! What am I going to sing about this? What are we going to sing about this? Are you going to sing,
know.
John?
No, I'm not going to sing. I'll just play.
John plays bass. I sing bass. I've had to sing higher over the years because I'm all by myself.
All by myself.
There aren't a lot of main vocals that are bass.
Except, what about that guy from
What?
band in the 90s that...
oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, no. We have to Google it.
Andy's going to yell at us.
No. Oh, my God.
Oh,
Crash Test Dummies.
Crash Test Dummies, yeah. With a song. Hey, can you sing that low, Phil?
No, I used to get that from the ladies.
I know.
Oh, Phil, can you sing that low?
Like that guy.
I can sing lower than the Crash Test Dummies guy.
You can do throat singing. That's 10 octaves lower than that. Beep.
But I still didn't get the ladies. Whatever.
3 years later.
I'm always a little off. Hi, John.
Hi, Phil. How you feeling today?
So we're recording. I say that every week. Okay, I sometimes I have inside jokes with myself.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that little clip of you saying we're recording, and I'm going to put it in every episode from now on, whether you say it or not.
That'll be the way it starts.
Yeah. That'll teach him not to listen.
I may not have done that last time. Okay, well, this is the end of episode 3. No, just kidding.
Well, last time is a two-parter because we went so long.
Well,
limited attention span podcast.
Or part of this one will.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to come out. Or
I don't think there was enough to make an episode really of the last ending of the last part. But whatever. So for now, I'm calling this part episode 1, part B. But maybe this will be episode 2. So maybe we should record 2 beginnings, and then no.
Oh, you're getting confusing. I don't think we need to put that much work into it, Phil.
Too late. No.
Yeah, well, it is too late for you.
What the hell? What's going on?
This warm weather has kind of thrown me off a little bit.
Me too. I don't think
I'm still on my late afternoon caffeine high.
Oh.
And now I'm switching gears. So I'm not responsible for anything that I say for the next hour.
No, that we should say that every week.
We should say that.
Have you had Werner's ginger ale?
I've never, with a V, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it. Is it good?
Well, if you're from Wisconsin, Michigan. I think it's.
I've seen it in Wisconsin though too. I think.
if you're from Michigan, you think it's the best ginger ale.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I don't know. I know a few people from Michigan.
You're soaking in it.
I'm soaking in Werner's.
I have seen this stuff. They have some other kinds of soda.
They do?
I know I've seen Werner's of some other flavor. Maybe it was a cream, probably a cream soda.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't indulge in the cream sodas, but
No? Okay. You've probably never had a red cream soda then.
no, probably not.
That's kind of got some cherry in there. And you put make a float out of that with ice cream. And oh, man.
So if you did an orange one, I'd be right there.
An orange float?
I like a good orange creamsicle, whatever.
Dreamsicle, creamsicle, whatever.
That's a flavor combo that I like.
Orange push-ups.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Remember those when we were kids? The little rainbow. They still make those, I guess.
They still make them, or bomb pops and
variations, bomb pops.
I think they weren't actually called bomb pops when we were kid, and then somebody finally decided to give in and call it that. That's my guess.
I wonder what were they called though?
Flag pops, or
did the Scotch by have a version?
That would have been scary.
Scotch
by.
Bomb pops.
Let's back up a second. What is Scotch by?
Well, that was the generic version of foods in Safeway.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just the generic. You know how most grocery stores have a store brand?
No, that's what I meant, not generic. Because
no. But what I'm getting at is
I think they also had generic.
Maybe they did, but Scotch by was even below the store brand. I think. I think they tried to make something even cheaper than whatever their normal.
And of course, back then, if you're Scotch, it was. If you're Scottish, it was cheap.
Somehow, there's an entire stereotype about Scottish peoples that they are thrifty.
But I don't know.
Is this true?
I don't know. I only heard that from like Saturday Night Live or something.
Thrifty Scots, yeah.
That one guy.
Well, didn't he say, if it ain't Scottish, it's crap?
Yeah, there you go.
See, I don't know if that's necessarily cheap, though.
No, that's true. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Scotch isn't cheap.
No, it's really not cheap.
So I don't get it.
Anyway, Scotch by was this thing.
Maybe it meant was good value.
It was in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
And it was this very plain, generic looking packaging with a little Scotch. You could probably Google it and find one, although it's getting harder to locate.
Well, you have a picture of the Scotch by beer.
Yep, which I remember. It was this featureless can with the little Scotch by Scotsman on it, and it just said beer, and that's all it was. Because the Scotch by beer, and then there was Scotch by light beer.
Oh boy,
that was as far as it went, as far as any packaging or adornments. Or
I bet that was.
You
good.
Really felt punished for buying Scotch by beer.
I'd kind of like to try one. No, a Scotch by light beer, though. Oh, my God.
It's just piss.
It's Scottish piss.
It's imported Scottish piss.
Taking a piss, I think. Isn't that a phrase from the UK?
And to round out the Scotch by story, because some people are not going to give a shit. Most. My brother, Rob, worked for Safeway in his youth.
That's right.
And he
moved up the chain a little bit there,
didn't he? But he basically said, he told us once that they had some in-store employee contest, and the reward was a case of Scotch by beer.
but he was a kid.
I know. I might be getting it wrong. I'll have to ask him at some point. Maybe I'll have to report back on that. But
because you can't give a kid because wasn't he like what?
He was 16 or something like that. Even in those days, he had to have been at least 18. I'm sure it was watery beer or something.
No, when we were kids, we could drink
3-2 beer
for like. What was
6
it? For like 6 months?
It was like 6 months. We have birthdays in the same general range, and I think it turned over after the first of the year to 21.
Yeah.
But
The-
it
the
was
darn-
weird. You couldn't buy
it was the
regular
feds.
alcohol, but you could buy 3-2 beer.
Those feds. They were going to restrict South Dakota's federal
Highway
interstate funds or something if
Yep.
they wouldn't raise the drinking age to 21.
Yeah, people were mad about that.
I always thought we should have been grandfathered in. You
They
know?
put a little symbol on your driver's license.
A little picture of a grandpa.
But I do remember turning 18 and going to
Yeah.
Mini Mart
No?
and buying wine coolers or some shit like that.
Oh, for one of your camping trips, probably.
Yeah, that could be. I'm trying to remember
Slate
how I
Creek.
got the booze I took up to those things because I wasn't 21. Somebody bought the stuff. I can't remember. I'll have to.
Oh, see, well, we shouldn't record this. No, but for a while there, it was legal.
Yeah, we had a window. It was a strange time.
Well, and then even my first year of college, I went to Black Hill State College at the time. Now it's a university like every college in South Dakota. But so people would drive, because in Montana was the really, really last stalwart. So we could drive over to from Spearfish to Beulah, I think it was, Beulah, Montana. And you could get anything when you were 18 there for a little bit. And I don't know, that just encouraged driving, drinking
a
and
bad
driving,
idea
really.
all around,
I
I
mean,
think.
I think it makes sense to have a nationwide age.
Yeah,
For that, but-
that's true. What are you drinking tonight, Phil?
Well, I had a gimlet again, of course. I get stuck
No,
in
no,
the
no.
ruts.
Let me stop you there. I thought about this last time.
Am I saying it? Am I maybe?
Yeah,
it's
is
wrong.
it gimlet or gimlet?
Oh,
like, is it like
jeez.
a gif
Have I
or a
been saying-
gif?
Oh no!
Is it like that?
I think you're right.
It's
What
a
did
G,
you say?
isn't it? I always thought it was gimlet.
It-
Hard G sound.
Look for the Time to Lime recipe on the Facebook page.
Well, okay. So in my defense, you say gin. So why do you say gim? I think you're right though. Oh no!
Wait, why isn't it called gin?
I'm
I'll take you home again.
I'm gonna go back and re-edit all the other podcasts. I think you're right. No, that's right. Oh no! How embarrassing!
Well, you're such a rebel.
All of our I'm gonna say
South Junior High rebels.
now. I don't even know what to call it. It's a let. But I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and go with beer. We haven't talked about
Okay.
beer at all.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm drinking real quick because it's not
Yeah.
that exciting. I have Scotch again, fortunately. Kirkland's Signature 12-year blended Scotch.
Kirkland, that's
Speaking
Scotch
of,
by
it's Scotch by for Costco, basically.
Costco by.
It's Costco by.
But that's a pretty good blend. It sounds
Oh,
like.
it's actually a good blend. I like it.
Well, okay, no worries.
The thing that
You
just
can get it by
briefly
the
what
gallon.
this is, it's another one of these whiskeys that somebody packaged and sold to Costco. You don't get to know where it actually came from except Scotland.
Maybe.
It's a 12-year blend, which puts it in a similar category in both price and taste to a Johnny Walker Black Label or a Chivas Regal 12-year, something like that. I would call it a premium cheap Scotch.
All right.
It doesn't have a ton of character, but it has no rough edges either.
Say I don't know.
It's good. I like it actually.
I'm gonna just let you in on something that
You made it?
What? I like some Irish whiskeys too, John.
Well, we should talk about Irish whiskey.
Just a couple. Okay. Well, anyway, for the beer, I know
Yes.
you're not into beer. But-
Beer is kind of pretty low on my list, but once in a while I indulge.
I understand. So I like the kind of beers I tend to like are not really hoppy. Hop to me in my mind has gotten way overblown and it's in everything. And one guy told me that actually that's because what happens is it's hard to make a really nice like a lager or something without it's hard to get it just right. So sometimes people will just load up the hops, and then it kind of masks some of the impurities or whatever, or imperfections. Now that was that one guy's theory. He's a bartender, so what do you know? Maybe.
I'm with you. I don't like a really hoppy beer.
No, it's
too bitter.
It gets so overdone sometimes. Now some people get it right, like their Town Hall Tap. They do a pale ale, not an extra pale ale or whatever. And Summit, I don't remember the name of the Town Hall Tap, Mandala Pale Ale or something like that. But that's really good. It's got a nice balance. It gets more in the citrusy kind of area, but not bitter. It's smoother. So,
okay. So which one are you drinking now?
Well,
or going to be?
Summit Dakota Soul.
Oh, there's no soul in Dakota.
No, there is. Well, this is and this is even North Dakota of all that thing. But people from South Dakota and North Dakota have a little thing that I don't know. It gets overblown, but this so Summit, they make other beers other than their EPA, which is their flagship or whatever. I still like it. It's a very well balanced beer. Their usual EPA or whatever, and but they've gotten into other things. They're trying these Unchained series, and they've done some interesting things. But I don't really want to buy a whole, even six. I don't want to commit to a 6-pack. I'll taste it somewhere at a bar. Saga has become a big one for them. To me, that feels like two beers kind of combined, and there's some little conflict in the middle, and I can't figure it out. It's more of there's some weird little thing in the middle there that it just isn't quite right for me. But a lot of people really like it. God love them. Anyway, so they've come out with this Dakota Soul, which is I had to buy it just because it was Dakota, even though after I bought it, it said North Dakota, but that's okay. It's got North Dakota barley, and it's a Czech style Pilsner. So I'm going to open that.
Wow, that sounds really pretentious.
I guess.
I would know. While you're opening that, I'll talk for just 30 seconds about North Dakota. When I remember distinctly especially when I first moved to Minnesota, that people would commonly think I was from North Dakota, even though I specifically told them I was from South Dakota.
Yeah, you can't have that.
And which town in North Dakota are you from again? Is it Bismarck or no?
Fargo.
No.
Fargo. After the movie Fargo,
Mount Rushmore is not in North Dakota, jackass.
After Fargo, we were all from Fargo for a while there.
No, that's seemed to happen a lot. Not as much anymore. Maybe people have gotten smart about that. But anyway, that's my Dakota thing.
Well, when you go out east, I don't know if that's the case so much, but they kind of lump the Dakotas into one state.
Oh, that when I was back in the day, I did this thing in high school called the McDonald's Band.
Yeah, only two people from the whole state were selected.
Greg Kratz from Yankton.
Good old Greg.
Gosh, we both got in that year.
He had the funniest laugh.
I sadly don't remember that.
No. Well, I met him years later in college, but anyway.
In that group, so you're thrown together in New York City.
New York City.
With all these other kids who are from, there's two from each state in the union. And so you're hanging out with people from really far away from home, and you talk about your home and things like that. And I swear, Greg and I, at least one or two times, had discussions with East Coast people where we made them believe that there's like buffalo running all over the place in our hometown, and that you rode them, and there's just these goofy Western things that they completely bought. They just didn't know, and I remember just getting a really huge laugh with Greg and maybe a few of the other people from this part of the country that they actually bought it.
Did they also have people from other territories then, or was it just the states?
Oh, you mean like Puerto Rico? Or
sure.
I don't remember if there was anybody. Puerto Rico usually gets fucked, so probably not.
Now,
or
when I
Guam or any place like that. We don't need no stinking Guam.
and maybe territory isn't even the right word. I live in Minnesota, so I don't know.
Or
But-
District of Columbia.
Now, well, when Lee and I went to the close-up program in Washington D.C., South Dakota was paired with Puerto Rico. Sorry, whatever. Now that was a whole different story. But McDonald's band, and
Dakota.
You didn't get to meet Ronald McDonald. Who was playing Ronald McDonald at that time?
I don't know.
Probably Squire Friedel, also known as the Toyota Man.
I want to say he showed up at one of the events. One of the legs of our trips. There were 2 trips, and one of them was Chicago, where we visited McDonald's corporate headquarters in Oak
Oh,
Brook.
right. Hamburger U?
Hamburger University, where they train all their franchisees, I think. And
Is that where you and Lee got the idea for Burger Wars? One of the tapes you guys did before I showed up, or was that?
I think that was beforehand. I think,
Okay. Yeah,
I don't
no,
think
it
that
was
is-
before that. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's awful close, but I'm pretty sure it was earlier.
You worked at McDonald's for a while, didn't you?
I did. I'm hesitant to really get into any of our shit job discussions because we could spend the whole episode talking about that.
But then again, now we've settled on a title for the podcast.
Time to
and it's
lean.
called-
So
Which
welcome to
come-
Time to Lean, and here's a song.
which comes from our shit jobs, basically.
If you've got time to lean,
You've got time to clean.
which to
Is
be
that-
fair, no one ever said to me, but
Is that a Ray Kroc thing?
maybe Rob said he heard that at Safeway to bring us.
Oh
back
no,
around to
no,
that.
they say it everywhere. I mean, I've heard it.
Oh, I think it's taught in management school.
I've heard it in almost every job that I've had. Somebody has said it at least once. Usually, it's not a good manager. It's like somebody that's like,
Yeah.
they don't know what to say. They're like, well, don't just stand around. Let's find something to do. Be personable. They're like, I'm gonna speak a cliche. Anyway, that's where that comes from, and not the lean management style or whatever that is. I Googled, after we came up with the title, I Googled it, and I was like, this lean, I don't even know what that is. I didn't read about it because I'm not interested in that sort of thing.
I'm not interested either.
I'm not interested in being lean.
Yeah. So, shit jobs. I worked several retail food service jobs in my teenage years.
Sure.
I did work at McDonald's. I think for a brief period of time. Maybe it was after I got out of high school because I had nothing else to do.
I don't know.
It all blurs together after a while. But there was also I did a stint at Wendy's.
Oh, well, that's a step up from McDonald's.
Yeah, that was earlier, and I got fired when I didn't tell them I had a trip I had to go on.
No, because you were always going on trips.
Yeah, so I think I worked there for like a month.
Well,
I washed dishes at Perkins
I didn't know that.
my sophomore year. Summer.
Did you work with Mike Dorland?
Did he work at Perkins?
There must not have overlapped.
Oh, I didn't. It was not the. Oddly enough, it was not the one near my house.
Oh, okay.
It was the one out by the interstate,
Well, I don't.
which
know,
at the
maybe-
time was brand new. So I went there when they hired a bunch of people, and
snuck in.
so I worked there for a while, maybe a month or two. It didn't last very long, and it was always super late night shifts or something horrible like that. But I think I always thought that I was let go because they overhired when they opened the location.
I think it's just because you sucked.
I think I probably sucked. Yeah, I don't think I was that great. I probably was late.
You were always late.
Yeah,
back
I
then.
still am.
No, you're better.
Oh,
we were right on time tonight.
I'm on time when I have to be, but no, I was probably a horrible employee, and they probably told me that to be nice.
Yeah. Sure. Sorry, we overhired.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It was because you were leaning too much.
I was leaning too much. Yeah,
I think even Rapid City was a 2 Perkins town.
it was a 2 Perkins town. Let's see, where else did I work? I worked at a motel
What? Oh.
at some point during college.
Oh, okay.
I did front desk one summer.
Sure. Yeah.
And, of course, I worked at the Ron family campground in the Black Hills with Eric and Lee, different times.
Yeah, jobs. Let's see. I worked. I was a paper carrier. I started carrying the Rapid City Journal from. I think I was 14. I was a little on the early side, but they let me in. And maybe I was 13, going on 14, and they let me in a little early. But I did that.
Well, you had an unnaturally deep voice.
I did that many. No, not that. Although I trained myself to be a bass because in choir I thought, well, if I'm going to be in choir, maybe I should be a bass because maybe then I'll get made fun of a little bit less.
Phil's early influences were John Bowser Bauman from Sha Na, James Earl Jones, and Richard Sturban from the Oak Ridge Boys with their hit song Elvira.
Yeah, paper carrier. Then I worked at a motel for a long time. My dad owned the Lazy U Motel on Mount Rushmore Road for many years. Il Duce. What else? Well, that was my earliest jobs, yeah. Hello. What was that sound?
Opening my bottle of Scotch.
So you haven't had any yet?
No, I'm getting a refill. Oh. So this Kirkland Signature 12-year blended Scotch, like at Costco, of course, it comes in a huge size.
Yeah, a gallon,
a 1.75 liter, whatever that is. It used to come in these
with a handle, right? Like a plastic bottle with a handle?
No, it wasn't plastic. It's glass. It has a cork and all that stuff. They try and make it a little bit nicer than that, but it came with this, really wide, just a little bit taller than normal bottle, and it was a little tough to deal with, but it was fine. But they just changed the packaging on it, so it's in a skinnier but really tall bottle. And it doesn't fit in my fucking cabinet.
Well, what is that going to fit in?
It doesn't fit in anything. I've got it in a pantry somewhere, like on the floor. It's really tall.
So just go to your cabinet and get a jigsaw and cut off the shelf.
It's really tall. So what I did was, I just recently finished a liter of Johnny Walker Black.
Oh.
And so I kept the bottle and I dumped a liter's worth of it in there, and I'm using that.
Oh, I got you.
Tonight's Non Sequitur is brought to you by Harbley's sashimi beef sandwich and pointy fries and a glass of mud, $7.99. Harbley's, you can't beat our meats.
When I was a kid, we'd go to the Black Hills Speedway because my uncle was a race car driver.
I remember the Black Hills Speedway.
Or stock car. You could hear it from our houses. If you stock cars, I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, but he had the coolest car. It was orange, and I loved orange. And anyway, that's probably why it's my favorite color, is because my Uncle Joe. But that was my first taste of Coors or something. It was, what did I have? It was you're a kid and you're curious, and somebody said, okay, you can try it. But back in those days, they had the pull tabs. No, not pull tabs.
It all started at the Speedway.
They had these things you pull. Remember that wasn't this. The top was different. You pulled it all the way off, and
Now we want to say pull tabs on a can of beer as opposed to the gambling pull tab.
Yeah, but people would pull those off and drop them into the can, and I don't know, maybe somewhere somebody choked on one of those or something.
It's not sanitary.
No, but so that's why they have these new on the cans. They have these new pop openers that stay on.
Ain't technology amazing?
If I'm doing yard work or whatever, I'll just have a grain belt. It's nice and cold.
Yeah, we discovered that regular grain belt makes a good South Dakota red beer.
With tomato...
with tomato juice.
Tomato juice. That was another thing that because I went to college in eastern South Dakota. For people from anywhere else that would ever care, South Dakota is basically two different states in itself, because eastern South Dakota is totally different than western South Dakota. Western South Dakota has it's kind of more rancher, libertarian, sort of conservative. And eastern South Dakota, every now and then a liberal will sneak in there, but it's more of the farmer kind of conservative.
It's Bob Knutson.
Yeah.
always used to claim that instead they should have made it East and West Dakota instead of North and South. He had a point.
No, he did, because they would have been more alike, but they would have looked weird. But also, maybe there wouldn't have been quite as much diversity from the economic standpoint. Oh. But I don't know. But really, if I went back in time and I talked to Buford Hayes or whoever, I would have made Dakota one state.
That would have been a big state.
Well, we'd have a little bit more representation.
I don't live there anymore. South Dakota would have had a lot more oil revenue. Think of all the money that combined state would have between Mount Rushmore and the fracking and all that stuff.
The fracking tourism.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
Is fracking a big deal anymore? That's kind of gone downhill a little bit.
It's less than it was. Although when oil gets more expensive, fracking increases. I think it's going to hit over $3.
We have a gas price prediction. You used to be more into gas prices.
Used to be.
Are you still? You don't talk about it as much.
No, I don't talk about it. But my lovely wife would tell you that I'm still crazy. I can't get it out of my system. I inherited it from my dad.
Well,
he bitched about gas prices all the time, and so since we belong to Costco, you can get cheaper gas there. Sometimes I will go out of my way to get gas at Costco because it's 10 cents a gallon cheaper.
And you can get some Scotch while you're there.
I can go in. Plus, the Costco gas station is right next door to Liquor Boy, where I stopped today.
Okay. Here's a weird idea.
It's all coming together.
Let's go back in time and have
back time.
Now, because Safeway sells liquor now in South Dakota, so there could have been in an alternate universe a Scotch by Scotch.
That blows my mind, man. Scotch.
Oh, Lord.
Can you imagine how fucking awful that would be?
I don't know.
Think
I
of
don't
the
remember
worst
having anything
Scotch.
Scotch by it.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than really bad Scotch, really cheap Scotch.
I once had a Scotch that tasted a little bit like a Band-Aid.
It is the worst.
Not that I've ever tasted a Band-Aid. I think it smelled like a Band-Aid.
I would take cheap bourbon any day over cheap Scotch. That's not a place where you should skimp.
You don't want to drink something that tastes like a Band-Aid?
So let's before we run out of time, Phil, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well,
okay.
Yeah, because last time, which I didn't put on the other piece, I don't know what we're going to do with that yet, but we still never got to my introduction. But that was kind of a running joke even within that episode. I'm from Rapid City, South Dakota as well, and I went to.
Hello, Paul S.
I went to our other three listeners. Then I went to college in eastern South Dakota, which was really a mind opener because they're really different over there. Okay,
they drink beer with tomato juice there,
and or olives. That was the other thing.
Anyway, keep going.
But tomato juice is healthy for you. So I went to South Dakota State University in theater and speech communications, and then I moved to Minneapolis and Minnesota. I did some theater in the Twin Cities, mostly improv kind of things. But then when I had kids, I've kind of not done that because I don't know how people have kids and do theater when you have to be rehearsing every night. And I've worked at the University of Minnesota for a long time. Before that, I managed a coffee shop downtown Minneapolis. There's a lot of stories from there. My good friend Dave Daniels and I were the morning crew. We started about 6:30 and got the people in and out of there and entertained them a little bit and got them hyped up. What else? I'm a dad and I'm a father. I'm a mother of 10, and I. How does somebody describe themselves? I guess that's
good.
Okay.
You can stop with that if you want.
We're all friends here.
Here's the song. If you've got time to clean, you've got time to lean. If you've got time to lean, Oh, lean on your broom. Lean on the shelf in the back storeroom, but don't lean on the fryer. You're gonna set your ass on fire. You've got time to clean. You've got time to lean. If you've got time to lean, then you know what I mean. Lean on a mop. Lean on your muffin top. Lean on the counter. You can lean on me, brother, anytime. You've got time to clean. You've got time to lean. If you've got time to lean, then you know what I mean. If you've got time to clean, you've got time to lean.